My God, so it's the season final of the Yellowjackets this week, and I'm so excited. I can't wait to watch it. Little spoiler though, just so you know, I am not the Antler Queen, okay? Number one, it's because I don't fly. I don't do planes. Not going to happen. So, I'm not going to get out in the wilderness anywhere, and I don't like dirt or the outdoors. And number three, I don't cook. Nope. But I do like TV, and I love this show. And I feel that being that it's a final and it's kind of special, I need an antler crown. So let's go make one. So start by rounding up all my supplies. I'm going to need wire, tin foil, some flyery things. This is some like plastic packing stuff. It's kind of like plastic tissue paper, but I thought it would be handy. Good old masking tape, and my really accurate drawing of what an antler looks like. Please don't judge me. Right, so I start by making, I think the technical term is an armature, but it's just like a frame thing. Yeah, but it works. It takes a while to get the right shape, so I'll let you watch me struggle with my wire for a bit. So there were options. There was Natalie's crown, judge crown, which is cute and petite, and I do like it, but it is a little bit boring. And then there is the great antler queen, it's herself's crown, which I do like, but then I thought more about it, and if I'm going to be stranded in the wilderness and possibly eaten by my friends, then I want to be pretty. So I'm going to go with a variation, or my interpretation, of Lottie's prom crown. Lottie's prom crown. It's probably my favorite. It's got flowers, and let's be honest, if we were stranded in the wilderness, my friends would definitely eat me first. I mean, I'm meaty and I'm slow, but I'm pretty sure I would be delicious. So back to the antlers. I'm wrapping the wire with the plasticky stuff just to give it bulk and not to use up all my tin foil or aluminum foil, depending on where you're from. And it gave it some good shape. I wished I had wrapped it slightly tighter though, because I found that with the foam clay being so squishy, it was quite a little too pliable, but if you don't touch it, it looked fine. Then I painfully tried to wrap it in tinfoil. Now, I don't know that I was doing this right, so perhaps more practice is definitely required on my behalf. It fell off a lot and I couldn't get it sort of tight enough, but again, it worked. And now you get to enjoy watching me use my camera as a mirror while I test out my sizing, because we all know when it comes to antlers, it's all about size. Foam clay time. I love this stuff. It feels like magic marshmallow in your fingers, but kind of slimy and moist, but not in a bad way. It's hard to explain. You really have to experience it for yourself, I think. Basically just smooth the layer, which I possibly worked out later on was a little bit too thin, but it did the job and it worked. What I do want to talk about when it comes to Yellowjackets is how awesome is the music. Like, it brings back all my 90s childhood memories of all that great music I used to listen to and kind of forgot about. So I must admit, I have been, especially while making this, blasting the soundtrack out you know, through my whole house and subjecting my poor children to it. And you know what? I don't care. 90s music was awesome, and all that sort of girl gothy music and sort of pre-girl, was it pre-girl power? Yeah, pre-girl power music. But either way, I love it. Alanis Morissette, Fiona Apple, Courtney Love, just so good, all of it. Right, I'm using some water to smooth out the foam clay, which last time helped a lot. This time, not so much. Maybe I added too much water. It sort of got a bit too slimy. But again, it worked, so we're not going to complain. Trying to sort of make my points pointy because I didn't want sort of fat, stumpy doofers on my antlers. But, you know, we got what we got, and I was happy with the end result. And after spending way too long trying to smooth out all the bumps and lumps and crevices, I just decided that it was good enough and left them to dry. I did see on Prickly Alpaca, when she makes things out of foam clay, she does suggest that you don't go too hard on the details until it's dry, and then it's easier to Dremel in and sand once it's already dried. So I gave this a go. I got my little Dremel tool out, and it kind of worked. It did add texture, but not the detailed texture I wanted. Turns out that was fine because painting it added enough detail anyway. So a quick coat of Plasti Dip. Now, we don't have, or I don't have access to proper Plasti Dip here, so I got what I thought was the same thing, which is like a plastic leak stop thing, like a rubber coating in a spray can. But after a slightly small uncontrolled fire in my garage using the stuff, it ended up that took the top off the spray can, so I couldn't spray it anymore. I took it outside and stuck a pin in the nozzle and just kind of squirted it into a bottle and brushed it on, and that worked fine. It gave me sort of a more smooth texture. I forgot to record, but I gave them a quick undercoat in a dark brown paint, and I was going to do a second coat, but then looking at it, realised that the undercoat looked kind of antlery, and I didn't feel the need to fix it up. So I just went over it with my trusty paint pens, which I love. I know I've said this before, but if you're doing anything with detail, paint pens are your friend. They're awesome. So I just used a couple of different colours of brown and just sort of drew in the liney bits. You know, I don't know what they're called in antlers, the grains, the lines, whatever it is. And then I decided it was a bit too dark, so I got some cream and brown paint, made a light brown paint, added some water, made it into a wash, and I just went over it. And then I used a paper towel to sort of blob it off gently, but the paper towel left in sort of like, you know, that bumpy paper towel texture, which also really worked for the antlers. So it was kind of a, as Bob Ross would say, a happy accident, and I liked it. Hey, right, so I've made my antlers. They're pretty antlery. I don't know if I'm holding them the right, roughly like that, I think. Yeah, so now all I have to do is assemble. Right, so I have one clearance Kmart I have one clearance Kmart headband, which I'm going to rip the fabric off. It's all I could find in my tiny, crappy town. Sorry about the bad lighting. I live in the desert, but yet my house is incredibly dark and the lighting is shite. It is what it is. All right, I've got some lace to drape over my antler crown. I am going to tea dye it, coffee dye it. I'm going to do something because it's too white and I want it to look old and manky. I have got a large pile of fake flowers and greenery bits that I'm going to stick onto it. I think I'm just going to put my music on and just try and make an antler crown. So we'll give it a go and wish me luck. Now, I somehow forgot to record. Well, I didn't forget to record. I just ended up taking one really gnarly photo. But either way, the top of the skull piece that is on the front of the crown. So I just got a bit of craft foam, cut it into sort of what looked like a skull piece top shape. I actually don't know what they look like. I was guessing. Went over it with a little bit of hot glue just to make some lines in it, and I literally just chucked them randomly. There was like no research done in the making of my skull piece. And then I went over them with a quick coat of primer, which mostly just soaked in, but, you know, it was enough. And kind of just hot glued it on between the antlers. I used some cotton tape over the top of the wire from my antlers to hold them onto the headband because they kept kind of tipping, so that worked. And it gave me a good base to stick everything else to. And yes, I did burn the crap out of my fingers with the hot glue, but, you know, we don't need to talk about that. I did add a little bit of extra hot glue around the bottom of the doofers, the antlers, because they're always like fatter and bumpy, and it would help make it more seamless when I finish the painting of them. I did come back and sort of weather over the top and around the edges of the skull pit and where the glue was. Time to colour my lace. I got some hot water, added a bit of dish soap and some vinegar, chucked the lace in it to soak through and get damp. And then I grabbed a handful of tea bags and some coffee bags. You know how you go to a hotel and they always leave out like the coffee bags and stuff, and you take them and you think, oh, I might use that at home, and you never do? Well, now I'm using them. Yay for fancy coffee bags. So after I let them sit for ages to draw, I put the liquid in the vinegar and stuff. I don't know why I ended up with so many bubbles, so I sort of scooped some of them out because it bothered me. I could have changed the water, but I didn't. And then this is me deciding, fuck it, and just adding the tea bags and stuff directly to the pot as well, because I wanted it to be a good colour. Then I just started randomly sticking on my greenery and my bits of flowers. I only had pink and white small flowers, and I liked the wildflower look. It seemed appropriate, so I didn't record it, but I sort of hand painted the white ones in an orange colour so that it looked more accurate to the picture. And if you don't look too closely, they look great. I also discovered that my hot glue is so hot, if you put too much on the thin sort of stalks of the flowers, that it melts through them. So there was a bit of sort of mushing things back into place. Just randomly gluing stuff on. But I think it looked pretty. I struggle with knowing when enough is too much, so I tried to be really restrained and didn't overdo it. And I think I did just enough for it to look pretty. Using a tool so I don't burn my fingers, but I still burnt my fingers anyway. And here she is with the lace. How awesome did my lace come out? I'm really pleased. It still sort of has a hint of coffee to it, which I don't mind. But I'm pleased with how the lace came out. So I love it. I don't have much more to say. It turned out really well. Not perfect, but I'm super happy with it, and I love it. Just love it. I'm going to put it on. God, I have to squat so it all gets in the frame. So just doing my squats for the day. Yeah, perfect. I love it. It's going to do just what I need it to do, and that is make me look stupid while I'm watching TV tonight. Yes. Yeah. Please remember to like, subscribe, comment. You know, we have to keep it happy. I mean, the algorithm god's happy, not, you know, the wilderness gods or anything crazy like that. So yeah, if you also, you know, like the Yellowjackets and you like watching me make stuff, then I'm your mama now. I have made my microphone on. Yes, it is. Try that again.